Hello, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to all of you in the audience and those who are with us virtually. We certainly appreciate you being with us for The Real Appeal, captivating all generations for financial success and insurance. So the theme of this year's insurance summit is knowledge, action, impact. So, me, Evelyn Boswell, the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer at the NAIC, would like to introduce you to two women who are intimately knowledgeable about diversity, equity, and inclusion, one who single-handedly takes action by placing the next generation on her back to teach them about aspects of insurance and the impact of both as they have closed generational gaps, racial gaps, and knowledge gaps. They will share information with you to help close gaps in your organization. So first we have Netta Jenkins, our moderator, who is the CEO of Erudai, where she leads an AI-powered performance platform that quantifies inclusive actions and aligns those actions with business impact. She's also an author. Look for her new book, The Inclusive Organization. You may have also seen her on CNN or her TED Talk. The second person we have with our fireside chat is Ngozi Inaji. Ngozi is a seasoned insurance professional with over 27 years in the industry. She's the principal and managing partner of AKO Brokerage Services. She's the founder of the Black Friday Network, a network of 24 agency members with over $60 million in gross written premiums. She is a distinguished lecturer at Fisk University, where she developed and taught risk management and insurance. This spring, she'll be teaching at Clark Atlanta University. So, if you would, audience participants and virtual attendees, use Slido for any questions for the panel. Now, I do have two announcements. I can't leave the stage without reminding those of you who attend, whether virtually or in person, our Fall National Meeting in Denver, to join us on Monday morning, November 18th, for the DE&I Leadership Breakfast. Okay, I've heard a lot from you that you can't get up early in the morning. Is that true? So, here's what I'm going to do. For those of you who can get up early in the morning, at 7:30, I'll feed early birds. At 8 o'clock, the program will start. Okay? That's the best I can do. Thank you for cooperating and showing up, being there with us. And also, if you register for the Fall National Meeting, regulators, even if you can't attend in person or virtually, you will still have access to our recorded session. Okay? Now, next June, here in Kansas City, the NAIC will be celebrating its 5th, that's 5 years of diversity, equity, and inclusion with the NAIC. And we'd love for you to come back to Kansas City the first week of June. More details to follow. Thank you all. Now we would like to welcome our fireside chat with Netta and Ngozi.
Give me your hand and shoulder to see shoulder get blessings for your head. Give me your hand and shoulder, but I don't go get us, and I go locate us. Give me your hand and shoulder to see shoulder get up.
Who said insurance can't be fun? When I say insurance, you say fun. Insurance! Insurance! You know what? I didn't feel that.
I don't know. I didn't feel it either.
I didn't feel that. We need some energy in here. When I say insurance, you say fun. Insurance! Insurance! That's what I'm talking about. I am so excited because I am here with the insurance expert, guru. I can talk about her all day long, but she is absolutely incredible, and I'm so excited to hear her drop some gems today. I'm also extremely excited to be with all of you. That energy that you just gave is what will fuel this industry forward, right? And so I'm really excited to talk about how we go about captivating all generations for financial success.
Wait,
in
Netta.
insurance.
Netta, since we're talking about all generations,
All generations.
you know I gotta get my TikTok video on.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Yep.
Where all my insurance nerds at? In the building? Oh, come on.
They're in the front. They're in the front.
I'm just going to claim all of you as insurance nerds. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to scan the room. It was football, right, yesterday. You guys know the way, right? Can we do that for the next generation?
Let's
right?
do it. Woo!
I know it's after lunch. I know y'all tired. I promise it won't be that bad. You ready? And 3, 2. Okay, hold on. I'm an actuary too, so that didn't work. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Woo!
There we go.
That's right.
Are we going back? No. Okay. Never mind.
Excellent job. Excellent job. Now, I want to level set with everyone by asking you 2 questions that I want you to think about. The first question is, how did you enter the insurance industry? Think about that. What piqued your interest, right? Who told you about insurance? How did you hear about it? And the second question is, what is different from then versus now? So I want you to think about that, and then after the session, whoever you're sitting next to right now, have a conversation with them. Introduce yourself and talk about that experience, right? Because things have shifted dramatically. Right? There's so much that has happened within our society, and it's really important for us to talk about it as human beings. So with that said, Ngozi, I'd like to position it to you too. I want to learn about your story, and I'm sure everyone else in here wants to learn about your story. How did you enter the insurance industry?
So, I've been here most of the day, and I've heard about some of the stories about falling into the insurance industry, right? Who fell in? A lot of you fell in. Well, guess what? I did not. So I like to call myself an insurance nerd because I feel like that's what I am, right? So I started my insurance journey much like the commissioner from North Dakota, right? In elementary school. Close, but not that close. In actually middle school. So my dad is a Nigerian immigrant and who came to the U.S., had 3 daughters. He was very intentional about positioning his daughters for career success through education. At that time, guess what was the #1 profession amongst all professions? Anyone?
What do you think it was?
Actuarial science. He said, daughter, you're going to be an actuary. I said, Dad, yes, sir. And so from that moment on started my trajectory in the insurance industry. Now, I will tell you, you saw my counting skills. I did not become an actuary, right? I became an underwriter with the St. Paul companies. Who remembers that company, right? Now Travelers, right? Went into large brokerage with Willis and Marsh. And then I started my own agency about 7 years ago, independent agency, and have a consulting firm that I specifically support the insurance industry with. So when I say I'm an insurance nerd, I am literally an insurance nerd. I geek out on this stuff. So my journey was a little bit more intentional than most.
I love it. I love it. And I do know that you are an insurance nerd. I love that about you as well. So what would you say is different about the insurance industry, before versus now?
I think there's a lot of differences. I mean, we've been talking about it all day, right? From technology to new risks to new trends, right? But we're talking about the next generation or generations within the industry and how do we address that. I think what's different is how we attract them or not, right? And how we engage them or not, and how we keep them or not. And so, I think a lot of what we're doing today is what we did 20, 30 years ago. And we're not thinking about doing it differently. So even though the talent is different, our tactics and strategies are not. And so even though everything else is changing, like I said, technology trends, we have not yet converted how we recruit and attract different talent into our industry. We are a little cocky as insurance professionals. Would you agree? We are a little cocky. We are. We expect everyone just to come into this industry because it's the insurance industry. And it doesn't really work like that, right? I think we'll talk more about why it doesn't work like that.
Absolutely. We'll definitely have to dive into that. You know, one of the things that you said is your father wanted you to be or do a specific thing, which you didn't do, right?
Not really.
But what I want to know is, what does insurance mean to you? When you hear the word insurance, how does it make you feel? What does it make you want to do? Does it make you want to change the world?
Absolutely.
Okay, I love that.
Insurance is everything to me. I have T-shirts, I have shoes, I have the whole nine. Why? Why is insurance everything to me? Because again, if you think about the insurance industry as regulators, does it not touch everything? I mean, literally, it touches every aspect of our world. And to think as an individual who is in an industry that touches everything, again, reason why I'm cocky about insurance is because everyone needs us. They can't operate, function, live without us. We are dope. We are absolutely dope. So when I think about insurance and what that word means to me, it is my whole being, because everything I do influences everything else, and I can change the world. Insurance can change the world. It has done it time and time again. And so I'm very passionate about what insurance is and what it does and how it impacts. And so even more so, we got to continue that, right? And so this conversation around generations and how we're recruiting and attracting is so key, because we got to keep that going.
Yeah, and I love that's what insurance means to you. I want to position it to the audience. When you hear the term insurance, and some of you have been doing this for a while, right? So you may be like, I don't think anything of it anymore. But when you hear that term insurance, how does it make you feel? What does it mean to you? I'd love to hear some words. What does it mean to you? Anyone in the audience? What was that?
Protection.
Protection. That's right. Any others? Stability. Safety, did I hear? Safety, absolutely. Anyone else? What was that?
Vital.
Vital. Yes, absolutely. So we want to think about that word, right? How does it make us feel? What does it do? And what does it mean to us? And how does it then impact others? Right? How do we break that down? And now, Ngozi, you are a professor, an impactful professor, a vibrant and energetic professor, which I love, and an insurance professional exposed to many generations. What is your perspective on what insurance means to each generation and as a profession?
So that's a very interesting question, right? What does insurance mean to the various generations? And so let's take a step back. When we think about the various generations, right, we will have multiple generations, or we currently have multiple generations in the workforce. And so we interpret what insurance means to those multiple generations, right? We have to think about what's important to them. Now, we understand that kind of putting people into buckets based on generations isn't, we're not all monoliths based on our demographic and our generation. But we have to consider what's important to those generations.
Yeah.
And so I'm a firm believer that insurance speaks to all of those generations. It can speak to all of those generations. And so when I think about the students that I work with at the various colleges and universities, they are all about instant gratification. They want it now. They don't want you to tell them in 5 years they'll get the promotion. They want that promotion now. They think they're entitled to that now. And so for me, it's about how do I create an insurance concept, idea, or program that speaks to that instant gratification. And we do that. And so one of the ways we do that is by getting them licensed immediately in college. That's instant gratification. If you can take a 4-month course, get 3 credits, and get licensed, that's instant gratification. So again, we have to do better about speaking to the generations and meeting them where they are, especially if we want them to come into the industry, but also understanding who they are and what they want.
Yeah. And what gave you that idea to start a program like that?
So again, this generation that's coming up, they are not shy about giving their opinion.
Right.
And so we had many classes where I was like, okay, y'all not gonna do that today, right? You're not. But they were very vocal about what they wanted. And so for me, I needed to translate that. How do I keep you in this class? How do I keep you interested? And how do I make it real for you today? And so by carrot, right, using this carrot of instead of taking my final exam, you can take the licensing exam. I will pay for you to get licensed and have a job for you waiting, not when you graduate, but when you leave this class, boom. Got them, right? Yeah. And not for nothing, right? I think one of the things we don't do well as an industry is talk about the entrepreneurial side of our business. Again, generations between the influencers that they see on TV, right, and everything else, they want, again, that instant gratification. They want money now. And so we can talk about, hey, there's entrepreneurship in the insurance industry. How do you become a TPA owner, an agency owner? How do you become a vendor to support some of the things that you do as regulators, right? How do you create that business that's insurance adjacent? And so I help my students understand that you might not have to be an underwriter, but you can do something to support the insurance industry and benefit from it today.
Right. And I love that you're having these conversations with your students early, and you're giving them a platform to then advance. And you're building a pipeline for organizations at the end of the day, right? It's not enough for us to say, well, you know, we don't have that role open right now. We have to prepare for it now. And that's everyone in this room. We can all start identifying who are folks that need to come in that we're not speaking to from various generations. Right. I want to dive into this term intersectionality. How many folks in here have heard of that word? Intersectionality, show of hands. Okay, a few folks. Don't worry, we'll break it down for you. So intersectionality refers to how overlapping identities like race, gender, sexual orientation shape individual experiences, right? So an example of that could be I'm a Black identifying woman. I'm also differently abled, right? I'm partially deaf in one ear. So there are, there's variables there. There's more examples I can provide you with. Let's say a boomer who identifies as Black. They may be part of the LGBTQ plus community. They may view insurance very differently from a boomer who is Asian with, let's say, a disability, or a Gen Z student who has Ngozi as their professor, right? That's learning all of these new things. So can you share some insights into how different ethnic groups approach insurance and how lacking it impacts them?
We ain't got all day, so I'm gonna try to make it quick. I think part of this conversation, again, is recognizing the intersectionality, right? There's layers to this, right? It's complicated, right? We're all complicated. When we think about who we are and how we define ourselves, right, there's a lot of layers. And I think that's why, let me just say this to the side, the conversation around equity is so important. Because, again, with equity, we're able to identify, right? You're able to identify for yourself based on those layers, what you need, how you need it, why you want it, and the fact that you need to get it, right? And so, yes, it's a lot more work. Equity is definitely a lot more work, but it's necessary, right, because of our layers. And we also recognize, again, because of those layers, there's history behind those layers. And I think it's important to understand that history shapes our ideas, our perspectives, and our beliefs, and I think you all would agree. And so for me, as I teach my students, as I engage on a consulting basis, I have to recognize, I encourage others to recognize that there is history and there's a historical context around intersectionality. So again, for the sake of conversation, I teach at historically Black colleges and universities. And so part of what I have them understand is that your distrust in the insurance industry, your lack of faith in insurance as a tool did not stem from the fact that you just woke up today and you're here in my classroom. It comes back to the fact that your ancestors were insured as slaves. It goes back to the Freedom Bank collapse. Freedmen's Bank collapse. It goes back to the fact that Black-owned insurance companies were created because of racism. It goes back to the fact that even now, right, we have iterations of redlining that are still occurring in our industry. So all that leads up to maybe your perceptions about what insurance is, whether you want to be in our industry, right, and whether you even want to use it as a tool. We just need to better understand that as insurance professionals. And let me just take another step back. I don't like the term insurance professionals. I'd use it for the context of the audience. I like to call us insurance influencers. We're insurance influencers. So, I mean, I don't know if I never thought I'd be an influencer, but I'm claiming it. This is my life goal, because I believe, as Commissioner Mays indicated, my goal here is to leave the insurance industry better than I found it. And so as an influencer, that's my goal, that's my job. So again, if I change context or terms, that's why. You are insurance influencers. Now you got to make a TikTok video. You know? But again, I think it's important as we look to broaden the scope of talent that we bring in, as we look to redefine what that talent gap looks like, we have to be cognizant of the reasons why these other generations or these other individuals, diverse individuals, are hesitant to even come into our industry. And we need to understand that historical context related to it.
Thank you so much for diving into that. How many folks are now going to call themselves insurance influencers? Can I get some hands? I love it. We have a few hands. Okay, insurance influencers. I want to share some data points, right? Because you talked to us about equity and how important that is, and some of the historical barriers as well. Now, Insured Retirement Institute data indicates that 67% of African Americans and 74% of Hispanic consumers believe insurance companies should do more to understand their community's unique needs. So it's really important for us to understand what's taking place in the market, right? How are people feeling? How are people impacted? What does the data show us, right? That's really important. I want to dive into historical barriers a little bit deeper, if that's okay. Understanding historical barriers to insurance and demographic dynamics not only diversify talent, but it also drives profit. So let's talk about historical barriers and profit. Success in this industry really comes from identifying and serving those currently underserved. So again, the only way that we know that is through doing our research, understanding the market, understanding the various demographics. Can you elaborate on that for me a little bit?
So I think there's opportunity here, right? I think there's opportunity. I often say in my consulting work that your inside has to look like your outside has to look like your inside for you to realize the business imperative around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that really stems to the fact that if your inside, meaning your employees, the people that work within your organization, do not look like the individuals that you're supporting as from a customer base, and your customer base does not look like your employees, meaning, not profile-wise, then you're going to have a hard time realizing that profitability and that business imperative.
Right.
And so I think it's important that companies, right, that sit within our insurance industry stakeholders really start to understand that there is a business imperative to doing business around diversity, right? I think Commissioner May spoke to it earlier, but there's a lot of examples of how if we have increased representation, if we create this inclusionary environment, how that really drives the bottom line. I mean, obviously we've heard about the stats that Deloitte and all the consulting firms have put out there. But I think also, again, the understanding of that client base, the understanding of that market can help realize that in a very real way. And so part of the reason why I chose to be an agent, part of the reason why I chose to get my student's license is that increase of representation in the distribution channel. Think about that. As insurance companies sell their products, they have channels. Now, granted, they go direct, they have different, but most of them use an agent to do so. And so how are we increasing what insurance looks like and what insurance is if that distribution channel doesn't look like the communities that are purchasing the products? So again, that's part of the business imperative, is to have increased representation in that space, right? So that, again, we're better informing, there's an understanding of what those markets look like or what they're looking for, so that we can increase adoption, increase representation as far as purchasing, and move the business imperative forward and profitability forward.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I want to dive into an uncomfortable conversation. Uh-oh. Yeah. A little uncomfortable. It's about to get uncomfortable. Not too uncomfortable, though. Why is insurance perceived, I got to break it down like that, as boring?
What?
Why is insurance perceived as boring? Right, I had asked my 11-year-old, when I say the term or the word insurance, what do you think? And he's like, Mom, boring. And I was like, boring? What? And I went on my soapbox about it because we want to make sure that that's not the perception in his mind, right? He's going to continue to grow, and we don't want to have that. So let's have this uncomfortable conversation. Why is it perceived that way? What will it take to make this industry even more appealing to all generations? And what does making the real appeal actually mean?
We're family, right?
We are.
We're all insurance nerds in here, right? Okay. So although the conversation itself is not uncomfortable to me because I defend insurance all day, every day, the industry all day, every day, I am going to ask a question to this audience. So when you're asked, what do you do? What profession? What industry? How do you respond? Right? Think about that. How do you respond? I think the number one issue that we have in the insurance industry is that we are bad at promoting our industry. I think this generation has learned more about the insurance industry from Flo at Progressive and Jake the State Farm Agent.
It's true.
Let's be real. Jake has friends who are NFL players and NBA players. He's always chill because he never gets stressed, right? Like, well, don't you want a job like that? Right. Glo be doing the most, right? Always on TV doing something, a different character, right? All day, every day. I think we have a bad commercial. I mean, so if I could be a little critical here, and so I think part of what we've done as an industry, especially those of us that are maybe baby boomers or Gen Xers, when we talk about falling to the industry, that's what we lead with. We lead with, I fell into the industry. I wasn't really, planning to be here. I would challenge you to lead with, I've been in this industry 20 years, and let me tell you why I love it, right? It's a whole different perception, because if you're listening to the story of I fell into the industry as a millennial or a Gen Zer, you know what they're doing? Their eyes go back into their heads. I mean, think about it, right? And so I challenge our industry to do better on promoting who we are and what we do. And I think that resonates all day. But do it in a way that's engaging with the generation that we're engaging with, right? So when I talk about the insurance industry, excuse me, Evelyn, I have a shirt that says, making insurance sexy. I have a shirt that says that. Because I need whoever greets me and meets me to understand that I think insurance is the best thing since sliced bread, right? So if I'm leading with that, ain't no way it can be boring. There's no way it can be boring, right? If I'm up here in J's, I got dreadlocks, right? And I'm talking, crazy, right, about insurance, oh my gosh, right? And we're dancing to music at an insurance event. There's no way it can be boring. So I guess my just challenge and what I ask all insurance influencers to do is think about how you're influencing. What are you leading with, right? And so that becomes kind of, I think, where we need to kind of meet our next generation where they're at. I don't know. I forgot the rest of the question.
No, I love it. I think it was perfect. It was perfect. And that's what I always say. I think with insurance, no matter what generation you're from, we can have fun with it. We didn't have to dance. But we wanted to make sure that we had engaged you, that we caught your attention, and that's the way we want to start thinking about talent. That's the way we want to start thinking about ourselves. How are we presenting ourselves? How are we putting ourselves out there? Who are we speaking to as well? How are we coming out of our boxes, out of our shells, to connect with others from various demographics? That is the importance of what this industry should be about. That's how we begin to truly expand, right? And so I want to now dive into education, because that's really important as well. Because I feel that education has shifted dramatically. Typically, when people think of education, they think of K through 12 and then on to college. But like you said, there's so many different ways of learning. People are learning about insurance on YouTube. People are learning about insurance on TikTok. People are learning about insurance on Instagram. These influencers are speaking about it. So the people that are in these positions, you all have the opportunity to do that as well, right? And be creative with it. Now, education, we all know, is a very critical lens. Mm-hmm. And it's also the entry path. We all have seen the entry path has shifted so much. Is it better or is it worse? And what should leaders in this room actually be advocating for? I know there are folks here that are change agents, and they want to understand, well, how do I begin shifting this? How do I begin appealing to various demographics and generations?
So that's a very interesting question because I think I'm torn on the answer. So one, as introduced, I'm a professor. My dad was a professor. My mom was a professor, right? My dad's a Nigerian immigrant who really put education first to the extent that, again, when we would go back to Nigeria, he was treated as a king because he was a professor. And so now I'm a professor and I'm educating at the collegiate level. I've been educated at other levels also. And I see the impact that I'm having in that space, and I see what we do as professors, right? And so it's the traditional channel in which we educate people, right? But on the other side, I've also seen the damage that has been done. And what do I mean by that? Who remembers 20, 25, 30 years ago when you didn't need a college degree to be an underwriter?
Show of hands.
Where
Yeah.
you didn't. You came up the ranks, right? If someone understood your skill sets, you got hired as an underwriter. Now, for those that raise their hand, did we have a talent gap then? No one wants to speak. No, we did. I challenge the notion around, here we are today, 20, 25 years later, where most companies require college degrees for most positions. Again, I have a degree in actuarial science. At the time I was getting my degree, you didn't necessarily need to finish an exam to be an actuary to get into the, right? Now, how many exams do you have to have in order to get hired as an actuary?
2.
So think about that. We are creating, again, I appreciate education for what it is, but we are creating educational barriers, and we're also, I almost lean to educational discrimination to some degree.
Absolutely.
And I think that has adversely influenced our ability to recruit. Because I will tell you, I grew up in the St. Paul training system, which was at the time one of the #1 underwriting programs that existed. I learned more from the UA that sat under me, who had been in the business 20 years, than I did from that training program. Because she had run through a number of underwriters herself, and she was like, no, you're not going to be like this underwriter before, right? I'm going to teach you what to do. So again, to your point, the educational component of what we do and how we train and bring in professionals into our industry, we have to think about the various different mediums. And so if it is TikTok,
Yeah.
right? So I now use TikTok to teach about life insurance.
It's amazing.
And I've recruited agents, I've recruited professionals, I've even taught my own clients about life insurance on TikTok. What mediums are we using to educate? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional ones, right? So think about that. So education, I think, for our profession, because things are changing, technology, trends, risks are changing, we have to find different ways to educate. Once we find different ways to educate, then I will guarantee you it'll increase the recruiting that we do and the attraction that we do to our industry and within our industry.
Yeah. We're almost at the end, but I want to just stop here and just thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
I think, one of the things that is so powerful about you and the work that you do is you're so creative. You come up with these unique ideas to make sure that you're really capturing the attention of various demographics and generations. You're going out of your way to do it. What makes you do that? What inspires you to do that every single day? Because you don't have to, right? You created a program as a professor. You didn't have to do that. You could have just taught the students, and that's that. But it was a program, a certificate program that would enable them to then work. What inspires you? What is that?
Insurance is dope. I don't know what to tell you. No, just kidding. No, I really believe that in my heart of hearts. I think insurance is the dopest industry in the world. And I want everyone to be in it. Everyone. And so for me, it's not only a matter of engaging my students, but creating workforce development programs where we have second career moms and veterans who, again, have skill sets that we can bring into the industry. I think we, again, have an opportunity to reach out to those demographics and say, hey, you can be in here too, right? And I also think when we think about the roles that exist within our industry, we don't necessarily promote the non-traditional ones as much as we should, right? So when we think about AI, I know the AI discussion was going on over there, right? What about the IT professions? We don't promote those as much as far as recruiting into our industry. How do we bring them in? You know, marketing, HR, right? Program management, right? Event planning. Dope, right? Like, look, they put on this event, right? For all you insurance influencers, right? So we should be, and they're insurance influencers themselves. So think about that. They're in our industry. They're doing the work. They're insurance adjacent. They're insurance influencers as well. And so I appreciate your comments, but I think we all are insurance influencers. So it's just a matter of identifying what you're going to do, what your call to action is to bring another professional in. Another influencer. Ooh, I corrected myself. Another influencer in.
I love that. You know, one other person I want to speak about is Evelyn Boswell, Chief Diversity, Inclusion, Equity Officer. She has created such an impactful program that brings in the younger generation, right? Really being forward thinking about how to create the pipeline and not wait for a job opening, right? And I think that's beautiful. So big shout out to you, Evelyn, and thank you for your incredible work. Absolutely. Now, I want to talk about impact, right? Because we all want to see the results. We've talked about demographics and generations and how we can appeal and how we can market and how education is a critical component. But what about results? So in this space, insurance leaders must own the impact for the evolution of this industry to increase the pool of players and profitability. What should this actually look like in practice?
Wow, that's a tough question. I think, you know, when we talk about the impact of DEI efforts, it runs the gamut, right? Impact can look a lot of different ways. I think one thing that we often get ahead of ourselves on is determining the metrics before we've determined the how, right? And so I think we need to take a step back as an industry. And again, there were some comments made on the commissioner panel around some of the work that's being done in the various states around the how. I think we need to be creative. I think the impact will be there. We have to kind of think about the end goal, not necessarily the metrics. The metrics will come. However, what is the end goal, right? So again, is the end goal to reduce the number of uninsured individuals within our states? If that is, then how do we get there?
Right.
And then ultimately the metrics will come. And so I often think that, again, with DEI, I mean, everyone's looking to measure it. What do you use to measure it? What are the KPIs? And those are kind of softer ideas and concepts that we necessarily, I don't think, can put a thumb on it. I mean, we've used, again, how many, you know, diverse individuals can we hire, right? We've used that as a metric. We used, you know, what is the kind of turnover rate look like in some of our areas. However, that doesn't necessarily lead to the profitability aspect of it, right? The business imperative. And so I do think if we focus on kind of what our end goal is, then the metrics will come, and then we'll ultimately realize the profitability. And so I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but I do want people to be thoughtful about the how, not necessarily the metrics.
Yeah, I love that. And when I think about the how, I think about the first step, education, right? Education is critical. The second step, we need to think about talent, recruitment. We need to prepare for that. Then third is marketing. How are we marketing? How are we reaching out to various generations, right? And that will then lever right back to profitability and impact. I am so excited to have all of you here. I see all of you super engaged. I see the eyeballs, so that's always a plus. I want to do something creative and unique that hasn't been done in the insurance industry at a conference before. But what I'd love for you to do is turn to the person next to you, and you're going to create your own commercial right now. Don't worry, we won't film you. But if you had a 30-second commercial, how would you introduce yourself? How would you introduce what you do? And then your partner's going to grade you on that. And they're going to say, or wow, I want to join. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, turn to the person next to you and have that conversation. Introduce yourself. You have 30 seconds to pitch your commercial.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Oh, I can't wait to see this. Uh-huh. I'm thinking of, I wonder if I should call on two people to come up to stage. Yeah.
We don't have a mic. Where's Evelyn's mic?
I think they took it away. I don't even know what time it is, so I extended. Are we almost done?
What time are we supposed to be done?
Oh, is it 50 minutes? Are we past? Or?
No.
There's like, was
It's
that
almost
20
a
minutes?
quarter till.
Oh, 45?
But we have how much in total? Are these mics on?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So how much time do we even have left? Okay, almost done. I'll give. Oh, that's good. We'll give more time.
That light is so bright. I can't take a good.
I love this. We'll never forget this. Girl, we got to do more stuff together. All right, who's going to Hollywood? Who's going to Hollywood? We'll give you about 20 more seconds. And we may be calling on some folks to come on up and share their commercials.
All right. You want to turn it? Make it like it's turned. I don't have my clicker. Oh, here.
All right, I'm going to count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Are you calling on your partner? I love it. Amazing. Okay, we're going to hear from him. All right, folks. So I'm going to call up a few folks to give their commercials. We want to put this into practice today. And like I said, we want to have some fun, right? So I would love for the two gentlemen in the front to come on up. They were pointing at each other. You go. No, you go. So we welcome you to the stage.
Evelyn, do you still have your mic? Your hand? Okay.
All right, awesome.
That was not what we signed up for.
Yeah, I know.
All right, you can stand there, stand here. Oh, you want to be on the stage?
I love this. Yes, we would love for you to come on the stage. We'll give you that.
No. My name is Noor Brent Shaboon from the state of Maryland.
Oh, this is bright. And I'm Matthew Cunningham from the state of Iowa.
All right, what's your commercial?
You do your commercial.
So actually, the plan was not to be on stage, but the plan, what Matthew said was absolutely phenomenal. It was perfect. As state regulators, I thought it was just amazing. He brought it home what he said. So, if you don't mind, Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot.
And nobody saw me like going, no.
That's what belonging is all about.
So we talked about insurance regulation. We talked about our responsibilities. We talked about our staff. We talked about what we do. And I think Matt really put it perfectly. So I'm going to pass the mic to you, Matt.
Oh, I used to like you, Nor. So actually, I just said it very simply. I said, my name is Matthew. I'm an insurance regulator. And the reason I do what I do is insurance impacts everybody in everyday life. And I feel good about what I do, and I sleep good at night.
I love that.
Now, you gotta say something else.
Well, it's just ownership, honestly. It's what you do. You have to take pride of what you do. You know, we don't sell insurance. We protect consumers. And from protection standpoint, from the product to the market regulations to love what you do. And, you know, I've been doing it for 28 years, and I love it. So,
I love that. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
I love it.
Excellent job.
Give our commercials a great hand.
Woo! Now we have space for 2 more, and then we'll end. Does another partnership here want to go up? How would you market it to your teenager or to a 20-year-old? One brave person. Okay, we have a brave person on the side there. Woo! Love that. Give me this for her.
So this 20-year-old?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
20-year-old.
Hi, my name is Karan Brookins, and I'm with the Illinois Department of Insurance. Now, if you don't know what that is, let me tell you. We're all about insurance, helping consumers, helping you understand what is, what isn't covered, helping you with terminology, helping you be protected, helping you figure out what to do if something goes wrong. So if you crash your dad's, your mom's car, hey, we can help you figure out how to get that claim through, okay? If you happen to break your leg, I don't know, what are you doing? Jumping off of stuff, you know, skateboarding where you're not supposed to be? We can help you with that. So it's all about information, and that's what we're here to share, okay? Insurance sounds boring sometimes and a little complicated, but we can help you through that, okay? So reach out.
Sign me up. Woo! Excellent job. Excellent job. That's what it's about. Again, thank you all for your energy. Ngozi, you have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for dropping such gems.
And thank you for our moderator, Netta.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right. Well, we hope you all have a beautiful conference. Continue connecting, continue creating that sense of belonging, and let's continue marketing ourselves to various generations and demographics.
Oh, we forgot to ask about questions.
Look at that. We were having so much fun. We forgot about questions. Does anyone have a question? Any hands? All right. All right. Well, hopefully you had a beautiful day and you had fun. Take care, everyone. And remember, insurance is fun.
Yeah.